In terms of the sporting world and the disabled community, there is plenty of issues that the disabled community is facing, which go hand in hand with a lot of our core attributes here, Canisius, global awareness, diversity, ethical issues, and social justice issues. There's plenty of obstacles that disabled individuals will encounter in the world of sports, and specifically my field, sports management. Uh, Earlier this semester, we were able to go to the Museum of Disability and hear a lot about the history of the disabled population and how they were treated long hundreds of years ago. Uh, Mentally ill people were treated as were sometimes court jesters and things of that nature, um, and how we've come so far today where uh, not too long ago in the 30s and 40s we had a disabled individual become the president of the United States in Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Now, one of the issues, global awareness, relating that to sports management. There have been plenty across the globe. Uh, there's disabled people. It's not like there's just disabled people in one particular area, but there's disabled people all around the world, and they're a larger group of the percentage of the population than you would imagine. And the treatment of the disabled individuals is not the same across the board, and specifically in these first world countries like the United States, disabled individuals have plenty of opportunities that are not available to individuals from places in the third world realms. For example, like Somalia, somebody who's disabled in Somalia is probably not thinking about playing a sport as much as trying to focus on surviving. And you have to think about from a world standpoint that there's disabled people all across the globe, and if you're trying to expand a sport that far, then maybe it's difficult in certain regions where uh, people aren't going to be they're more worried about surviving as a disabled individual opposed to playing a disabled sport. Now another issue is diversity. The disabled community is actually a large community, including a lot of different disabilities. You could be like me, born disabled. I have a couple abnormalities. Then there's also people that are amputees. There's mentally disabled individuals, Down syndrome and autism, and these vary on all sorts of different spectrums. And in terms of sports management, you have to think about how many different sports there are and what caters to certain disabilities, and think about including everybody and trying to think of sports that are going to be able to include somebody disabled with my disability and maybe an amputee. We could all play together. For example, like in sled hockey, there's so many different backgrounds playing in that sport. And another big issue, the one that kind of gets to me the most, is some of the ethical issues, which, for example, the biggest one, in my opinion, is the lack of representation in collegiate sports. In the NCAA, there are disabled individuals that play collegiate sports. There is a couple wheelchair basketball programs across the nation, but is there's not enough disabled opportunities to play. For example, in my sport, sled hockey, there's only one team, University of New Hampshire, and they have a very small scholarship budget. It's almost like a club sport opposed to actually being a scholarship program. But the individuals in that program do receive scholarship. But I would like to see in the future more opportunities for disabled individuals to compete intercollegiately and have different programs for them. For example, I mean, wheelchair track and field's big. I'd like to see more schools expand into that. There is some schools that offer like scholarships for wheelchair racing and things like that, but there certainly could be more representation, and something like Title IX that included women to be represented equally. I feel like something should be done to represent the disabled individual in that facet as well. And this kind of even relates into a social justice issue that people need to stand up for disabled people and kind of prove that uh, they're just show them that we're just as good athletes as the able bodies, and